the next thing we need to do, we need to get all of our cuff pieces out. So we're using the thumb hole cuff pattern piece from the original pattern, and then we're going to be altering it to add in the our fun little horizontal cuff. So what we do is you're going to start by taking the cuff piece from the pattern, and you're going to cut off 1.5 inches. So I already did that. So this is, if you open it up, you know, the whole, this is the long way, and we're cutting it off, cutting that 1.5 inches off the long way. So you can set aside these pieces, the larger pieces, for a minute. We're just going to work with these and these. So you should have a total of 4 of the larger pieces, and then you should have 2 of the smaller ones, and the smaller ones are folded in half. So they were cut on the fold. You should have 2 of them. So start by putting them all right sides together. So you should have 2 of the longer ones, right sides out, not together. Right sides out, 2 that way, 2 that way. And then fold these and press them. I already pressed mine. You should have, you know, 1 going each direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those strips that we cut off, and we're going to use them to do the little bias detailing that we have here. So just kind of lay it out and cut it about as long as the diagonal. It doesn't have to be perfect. We can trim it later. So we're just going to cut 4 of those. Okay, so now we have our 4 little pieces and our 4 inserts that we're making. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the right side and put it right sides together with these. And you're going to sew them on with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And I like to just use my standard machine to do this. I don't use my serger because I don't like to get the edge cut off. I just think it works better for the cuff to just leave it. So do this using your normal machine and just do a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And we're going to do that on all of them. Okay, so you can see just sewed it right sides together, 3/8 inch seam allowance. So again, I'm going to do that on all of them. And I would make sure, you know, before you start sewing them, making sure that you have them going different directions, so that, or like mirrored, so that, you know, you end up with 2 different ways of doing it. So I like to line them up just so you can kind of make sure that you're doing it right, so that you have you know, the mirrored images. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to press these. So you're going to press so we attached it right sides here. We're going to fold it up over that, and then we're going to fold it around and over, so that then we'll press it like this, and we'll sew it all the way on. Start by just pressing it up, and then I'm just going to press this in slightly, and then press it over. You want to try to cover up as much as you can the edge of your other stitching. It's the back, so you won't see it as much, but you will see it if you choose to fold your cuff down like this. You will see the back a little bit. Okay, so we've got all of our pieces pressed. So now that we have them all pressed, we're just going to sew right along the edge and attach them. So now that we have them all attached, we're going to just trim the edges. So just kind of trim it so that it's straight. So now we're going to put the cuffs together. So we have your mirror image. We should have, you know, them each going, whoops, yeah, each going a different way. So when we have our cuff piece that we, you know, cut that extra piece off in the beginning, when you fold it over in half the way that the cuff should be, it's 5 inches from this point to this point. So we need to make our cuff pieces here line up to be 5 inches long as well in total length. So we're going to kind of overlap them a little bit. So and we're just going to line them out, lay them up, you know, right sides up. So these big ones are the bottom, and then the ones at the fold is the top. So you're going to line up your folds. So you have them like this. And then what we're going to do is you could even, you know, we can line this up for reference. So we're going to just overlap these, and the bottom piece, the larger piece, goes over the top of the other. So you can line up this point with this point, and then we'll just overlap like this so that our bottom points line up. I'm having a hard time seeing this because it's reversed, but I think you guys can see it. So again, we're just making this length here the same as this length here. They're overlapped. This length is 5 inches. This length is 5 inches. So now what we're going to do, we're going to pin, and I like to baste these in place just so that you know that they're going to be there in the right spot when you go to sew. Just baste just that little section where they connect. I've got them both basted in place. Now we're going to take our larger cuff pieces, and we're going to do the same kind of that ham hop method that I was showing earlier, where we're going to do basically the same thing with these. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up your cuff piece, and taking the right side, the right side of the fabric is what we're going to be putting on, touching our insert piece. So you're going to take the right side of your cuff, and you're going to lay your insert. You're just going to clip the bottom to one edge. So we're just lining up the edge. We're clipping it here. And then we're just going to kind of fold this over so that your insert is sandwiched in between. And then you're just going to pin or clip the top. Now we'll sew that, serge that side. So we're only doing one side at a time. I just think it's a little easier. So now we've got you open this up, we have one side done. So now we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to fold this over. You kind of are just going to scrunch this fabric over to the side because we don't, and line up your other raw edges. So all the corners together, all your raw edge corners. And then you're just gonna mess with this side until you get it lined up with the midpoint. Pin that. Where's my clips? Just gonna pull it till it lays flat. So you got it kind of, again, there's extra that will just kind of go to that side. So you've got all your raw edges here. So lining up all your raw edges, and you're just gonna serge down that. So that's done. So you just flip it inside, right side out. You have a magical cuff. So do it again for the other side. The next step is going to be attaching them. So I like to mark the middle of this piece, and then the next, keep losing all my clips, and then directly across the midpoint. So we've got them marked. Now the most important thing is going to be making sure that you put them on the right arms. So I'm wearing mine so you can see as for an example. So you want the shortest side to line up with your thumb. So you're going to put the short, if you have them in front of you, you're going to lay them out so that the short sides point out. So I'll show you here. So you can see I've got them so that this is my left sleeve and this is my right sleeve. So again, short sides are going to point out when you line them, when you set them next to each other. I'm going to mark. So this point here, your seam is going to be what lines up with the middle of your little insert that we made. So that's one of your marks, and then you're going to need to mark the back. So then same thing over here. Okay, so now I just need to figure out which side is my left and which side is my right. So here's my zipper. So the zipper is on the right side. So I'm going to grab my right cuff. And I'm going to insert it. So we have right sides together. And I'm going to line up the middle of the insert with the middle of the seam, or with the seam of the sleeve. So now we should be all done. So we've got our sleeves with the cuff, zipper, and the double hood. So we're all done. So yeah, I hope you found this helpful. And again, if you guys ever have any questions about any of this, feel free to send me a private message or post in the group, whichever you'd like, and I'd be happy to help. So I hope you've had a good time. Thanks again for joining,